Yo, what up, everybody? My name is Drake Demore from the Win City Sports Podcast, and this episode of Cedric Ben's Combat Quarter is brought to you by the Win City Sports Podcast. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere podcasts are found, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or directly on wincitysports.com. Smell you later.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Cedric's Combat Corner number 16. I am your host, Cedric Ben. Today on the Triple C's podcast, I will be focusing on Alexander Usyk from the Ukraine, the Cruiserweight champion who has decided to make the big jump up to the heavyweight division and bang with the big boys up there and continue his career up there. Specifically, what I'll be going over is predicting how well I think he'll do against the elite in the division. Fury, Wilder, and Joshua. The BTF boxing training focus of the week is specifically going to be about coaching, making sure you have the right coach for your goals that you have for your career. Specifically, making sure that your coach is looking at you as a person, not as a business, like how much money they can make off you. So we'll get into details about that. Okay, so will Alexander Usyk have a successful career in the heavyweight division? He's already cleared out the cruiserweight division. He's fought the best of the best in that cruiserweight division and beat all of them convincingly. So it's only right for him to move up. Well, not only right, because this is the thing. I'm going to start out with a little education piece here about moving up in weight classes. As far as the lower weight classes, most weight classes are separated between like 7 and 10 pounds. When you move from cruiserweight to heavyweight, that's a whole different ball game. Cruiserweight is right, you gotta weight underneath 200 pounds. As soon as you reach over 200 pounds, it's anybody's game. You're fighting anybody over 200 pounds, which I never quite understood why they stopped it at that at 200. Maybe because back in the day there weren't too many really big guys, so it wasn't really concerned. But I don't know, something to look at. So that jump from cruiserweight to heavyweight, like I said, man, that's a whole different ball game. The main two concerns when moving up is, will your power have the same effect versus the bigger guys? And more importantly, if you do get hit, will you be able to handle it? Obviously, the number one thing is to avoid getting hit. But if you do get caught, will you be able to handle it? The third, I said there's two main concerns, but I'm going to add a third one in here. And it's a combination of the first two. And it's simply your level of boxing skills. And that's what I mean. It's a combination of your defense and your offense. Your ability to initiate offense at a high level and your ability to defend yourself at a high level. These are the questions that we need answered from Mr. Usyk. Let me give you a quick brief history on Alexander Usyk. He is 6'3". Most of his professional career was fought under the 200-pound under 200-pound cruiserweight division. He has decided to step up to heavyweight, and he weighed in at 215. That's the weight that he says he's going to be weighing in at for all of his fights at the heavyweight division. When the heavyweight average is up probably close to like between 230 and 250. His record is 17 wins and 13 KOs. Now you might think that's early in his career to make this big jump and to go for the big guys in the division, but he is 32 years old, so he spent a lot of his boxing career in the amateur level, which he was successful. Has a couple of titles, a couple of world championship titles and Olympic championships. So his boxing skills are definitely up there. As I said before, he cleaned out the cruiserweight division. Last Saturday was his heavyweight debut. Unfortunately, we did not get a good depiction of how he would fare because of the opponent. His original opponent failed the steroid test, so he got kicked out. So we had to face Chaz Witherspoon, who just took the fight on a 4 to 5 day notice. Now, Chaz is a good boxer. His record's 38 wins, 4 losses. He's actually 9-10 in his last 10 bouts. However, those 10 opponents weren't exactly high-level opponents. He hasn't fought on TV in like 10 years, just to show you the level of opponents that he was facing. But again, it wasn't Usyk's fault. His other opponents backed out. Now, I'm not sure how mentally ready Chaz Witherspoon was for this. He came to the ring in everyone gets mentally prepared for their fight differently. But this was a first. This guy came into the ring, walking to the ring, and like a very slow, like it sounded like a wedding song, like one of those very extra slow songs, one of those special songs that you play for the bride and groom. That's the type of song he came out to. Whatever, man, to each his own, I guess, if that's what you do to get yourself ready, and it is what it is. So, long story short, Usyk came out, displayed his boxing skills. Chaz fought back a little bit, but eventually the fight was stopped in the 7th round. Now, this is my concern with Usyk. So the fight was stopped in the 7th round because Chaz Witherspoon's corner stopped the fight. It wasn't because of Usyk's punches. Chaz had an interview after the fight where he said that his corner saved him because just his own pride would have let him keep going out there, but his corner knew that he did not have the gas in the tank to be able to defend himself. So my thing is, the fight only got stopped. Obviously, Usyk was hitting him with punches. I don't believe that he was actually hurt, that Chaz was actually hurt at any time. He was not in danger of getting stopped by any of the punches coming at him. And so my main concern is, if he had trouble putting this guy away, what's going to happen when he fights the elite in the division, such as Fury, Wilder, and Joshua? So I'm going to break down how I think a fight would go between Usyk and each of these guys. So I'm going to start with Tyson Fury first, who holds a record of 29 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw. That 1 draw coming to Deontay Wilder. Fury has 20 KOs, and he is 31 years old, from the UK. My specific take on Mr. Fury is, let me start by saying I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all, but I don't believe that he has the high level of boxing skills that everyone claims that he has. I think it's more so from simply being tall and using that awkward style to his advantage. I don't really see catching and slipping and stepping to the side. Just using that tall. He's 6'9" with extra long arms. 6'9" with extra long arms, and he has some footwork that he uses to maneuver around. And so let's take a look at his 2 biggest wins and compare it back to Alexander Usyk. So Fury, his 2 biggest fights were against Klitschko and Wilder. Against Klitschko, where he won the title, he landed an average of 7 to 8 punches per round. It was single digits. I forget the exact number, but it was single digits. He beat Klitschko by being tall and awkward, not by putting crazy combinations together and catching and slipping like you would look for in a high level boxer with offense and defense. No significantly hard punches landed by either guy, by Fury or Klitschko. Klitschko simply didn't throw back. Fury landed 7, 8 punches per round, and Klitschko landed like 2 or 3. And that was just the story, just who hesitated more. Now, when it came to Wilder, I'm not gonna get into the debate on who won or lost. There's lots of people that thought Fury won. Some people thought Wilder won. But I'm talking about specifically about the boxing skills that he used to go the distance with him. Again, Fury never landed any significantly hard punches. He did land some good jabs, a little right hand every once in a while, but nothing, to actually slow Wilder down. It was more so just like the Klitschko fight, making Wilder hesitate. And that's basically what it was. I didn't see no dominating boxing masterclass from Fury. I know 100% that Fury was in shape for that Wilder fight, because the simple fact, if you can, you take a significantly hard punch like that, like he did in that 12th round, and he was able to get up, and you can actually say he actually won that 12th round the way he came back. You have to be in shape. The only way you can if you obviously you work on your defense, but if you get caught with something big, the best recovery is you can only recover with as good as conditioning as you have. If you're already dead tired and you get caught with a hard punch, you're not coming back from that. If you're in the best shape of your life and you get caught, you can still recover from that. So I know Fury was in tip-top shape for that. But then when he fought the last one against Otto Wallen and he got that cut over his eye, I don't know if it was a combination of the cut or Otto Wallen, but like he looked kind of sloppy. He was standing flat-footed at a lot of times. And so I'm not sure where to go with Fury, but I will say this, and I haven't heard any other boxing shows say this, so I'd like to think that that this is going to be the first place where you heard it first, that I honestly believe right now that Alexander Usyk can beat Tyson Fury at the heavyweight division in a heavyweight big boxing match. I honestly believe that for the simple fact that there is that weight difference. Obviously, Usyk is only 215. Fury's coming in at close to 250. That's a significant weight difference. But the thing is, Fury does not use that weight to his advantage. He uses it in a different way. He doesn't use it with heavy-handed punches. When he's fought the elite guys, he's never hurt any of the elite guys. He more so will just use his 6'9" frame and just lean on you. If you're against the ropes, he'll just lean on you, so to basically smother your punches. And then when he's ready, he'll just back up and use his tall awkwardness to keep you at a distance. So I think a combination of Alexander Usyk's skills are better than Tyson Fury's, and Tyson Fury does not throw a lot of power punches. I honestly believe Usyk will get that victory against Tyson Fury if they ever fight. All right, moving on to Anthony Joshua from the UK, who sports a record of 22 wins with one loss. That one loss coming to Andy Ruiz. AJ has 21 KOs, and he stands at 6'6". Like I said, Usyk is only 6'3", so he's gonna have to deal with all these taller and bigger guys. So yeah, Anthony Joshua, 6'6", usually comes in around between 240 and 250 of just ripness. Before I make my official prediction on how Usyk will do against AJ, I want to see how the rematch goes between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz Jr. happening in December. Because obviously, most people thought AJ would just walk through Ruiz the first time. Obviously, that didn't happen. So we have to see the second fight to see if Ruiz is actually the real deal, or did he just get lucky the first time? In which don't want to make any predictions, but I don't think he was lucky. Because it wasn't just one punch; it was a combination a counter punch combination that he caught Anthony Joshua with. And it was more than one time that he caught him with that counter punch combination that hurt him. So if Ruiz beats Joshua again, then I definitely think that Alexander Usyk will beat Joshua, just because I think Usyk's boxing skills are better than Andy Ruiz's skills. So that's my math right there. Obviously, styles makes fights, but you try to compare it as close as you can. If AJ is able to fight like he has before, he fought good against Klitschko, specifically being able to take a punch and come back. Not that you want to do it on purpose, but if you get caught, you want to have the ability to withstand it and come back. He got caught against Klitschko and still boxed his way and stopped Klitschko later in the fight. Someone like Dylan White, he got caught early too, was able to box his way and stop Dylan White later on. And so Joshua, he definitely has power, that equalizing power if he does get hurt. And so it's all going to depend on how the results from the rematch with Ruiz and Joshua. I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out, to see how Usyk is gonna fight against Joshua. But right now, I would still pick Joshua over Usyk, as if I'm picking right now. Again, we'll see after the rematch. And then, of course, last but not least, we got Deontay Wilder, one of the most devastating punchers we've seen in a long time, probably since George Foreman. Deontay Wilder stands at 6'7", 215. Now, here's the thing. Deontay Wilder is the lightest one out of all the elite heavyweights, but definitely the hardest puncher. He has that extra gear of strength. That's his athleticness. Like if you're someone that's played other sports, you've probably played with someone that's naturally good at running fast or catching a ball or something. Wilder's extra athletic ability is that extra gear of strength that nobody else has right now. This guy comes in. When he fought Fury, he was only like 210 pounds and was still had that crazy, still able to maintain that power at that light weight for the heavyweight division. Anyways, Wilder is 41-0 with one draw, that draw coming to Tyson Fury. And only 2 people have gone the distance with this guy. In 41 fights, there were only 2 people that actually did not get KO'd by this guy. And one of them had a rematch and got KO'd. So this I think will be Usyk's toughest match. Now, people might think I'm crazy for saying that because out of those 3 guys, Fury, Joshua, and Wilder, most people would say that Wilder has the lowest level of boxing skills out of those guys. So you're probably wondering why I would pick him. But again, he has that ultimate equalizer. Just to go through his quick resume, just to give you an idea about Wilder's power, everyone he fights, put it like this, everyone that he fights goes to the hospital afterwards. Now, it is a common thing just for precautionary reasons, like in the lower weight classes, after a fight, if you had even if you won the fight, but it was a war, sometimes the doctors will still recommend you go to the hospital just for concussion tests and stuff like that. But not all the time. Even if, you got to, if you have a significant cut, yeah, you'll go. But not all the time do doctors send you to the hospital. When you fight Deontay Wilder, you are going to the hospital afterwards. Every single one of his opponents. That's what happened. Now, he did have one specific fight that can be compared against someone that could be compared to Usyk, and that is someone who he has a rematch coming up with. And the same thing what I just said about Anthony Joshua, the rematch for that one, I want to see the results from the rematch of Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz, which will be in February, before I make my official prediction on how Alexander Usyk will face against Deontay Wilder. The reason why I say that is because Luis Ortiz is a very comparable fighter to Usyk. He's a good southpaw. He's from Cuba, so that Cuban boxing background is deep, even for the heavyweights. So he has that. When Ortiz and Wilder fought the first time, there's actually quite a few people that thought Ortiz was winning the fight at the time. They thought he was winning the fight at the time, but just like everyone else, he eventually got caught and couldn't recover. And that's the thing. There's a few times where Wilder might have looked vulnerable. Some people say that he was losing the fight against Gerald Washington. Some people think that he might have been losing that fight against Arthur Szpilka. But once again, the results from those fights, his opponents ended up in the hospital. And he has, when someone has a extra high skill level, the only thing you could do about it to equal it is to have some type of athletic gift that would match that, whether it's your own speed or your power. And Deontay Wilder has that power. So right now, I would predict Deontay Wilder to KO Mr. Usyk later on in the fight. Not earlier on. I think early on he's going to have trouble. Usyk, here, I'll put it like this. Usyk will be winning the fight until he gets touched across that chin. How about that? So that is my initial prediction for how Alexander Usyk, who again cleaned out his cruiserweight division and decided to make the big leap up to the heavyweight division to face the big boys up there. So here's a little boxing history for you. There's only been 6 guys in the history of boxing, or I should say the recorded history of boxing. Boxing's been around for thousands of years. But in the recorded history of boxing, 6 guys that have made up that big leap from cruiserweight to heavyweight. And 3 of those guys are on my list as favorite boxers of all time. James Toney, Roy Jones Jr., my number 1, and Evander Holyfield. Now, if you want a quick, a good fight to watch on YouTube between how a small guy needs to fight a big guy, please, if you have time, I want you to check out Evander Holyfield versus George Foreman. Just to give you the quick stats on these guys. This was George Foreman. This is when he was on his comeback trail, but don't get it twisted. I've said this to somebody before, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well that was when George was old and old and out of shape." I'm like, no. You don't go 12 rounds with a young lion if you're old and out of shape. All right, Foreman. Let me give you the stats real quick. George Foreman was at the time 42 years old. He was already 10 years into his. He came back in 1987. This fight was in 1991. He stepped into the ring at 6'4", 257 pounds. Coming in with a record of 69 wins, 2 losses with 65 KOs with 15 first-round KOs. Let me repeat that one more time. 69 wins, 2 losses, 65 mother effing KOs with 15 first-round knockouts. One of the most devastating punchers in the history of this sport. And he was facing Evander Holyfield at the time in his prime. So that's what I mean. You don't call George old and out of shape if he went 12 rounds with another heavyweight in his prime. Holyfield was 6'2", 208 pounds at 28 years old. He had a record of 25-0 with 21 knockouts, 21 KOs, and a lot of first-round KOs too. Holyfield actually won a gold medal at the 1984 Olympics. George Foreman too also won a medal at the Olympics with just like 15 fights or something like that, just to show you the level of power that you were dealing with George. So anyways, check out that fight. Holyfield ended up, actually I'm not even going to tell you. You got to watch it. All right? But I guess I kind of spoiled it, but just check it out. Yeah, Holyfield versus Foreman, classic one. All right, and now the finale, the BTF boxing training focus of the week. This is not necessarily training, but more of a mental thing. If you plan on having a long career in this sport, you need to make sure that your coach is on the same page with you as far as your well-being and not just looking at you as a paycheck. This past Saturday, Chaz Witherspoon, who took that fight on 5 days notice for Usyk's debut at the heavyweight division, he simply could not continue. He would have continued if it was up to him. And he said that's what he said in his interview after the fight. He said his corner saved him because he would have kept continuing. This is what I mean about, I'm sure people have heard the expression before, your pride will get you killed. Literally get you killed if you're not careful. So with that being said, there's some coaches, or whether it's your coach or promoter out there, that like in that situation right there, Chaz is facing this Alexander Usyk, who's he's the main attraction. Everyone's coming to see him. If Chaz would have pulled off this upset, this would have been big for his career, financially mostly. And so, like, if your promoter could be looking, or your coach could be looking at you like, yeah, I know he's hurt, he's getting really messed up right now, but I mean, if he can pull off this miracle, we're gonna be rich. Like, he's looking at it from his perspective, looking at it, he's gonna be rich off you, not looking at it for your well-being. So, it's not like you can just blatantly ask someone, are you here for me or just to make money out of me? Liars will always lie and say that they're there for you. You just have to see these things for yourself. So, do a little bit of research, see if they have any other fighters, see how they treat their other fighters, and that'll give you a good indication of, if you got the right coach. And I have to make sure I say rest in peace to Patrick Day. Unfortunate, another soldier fallen to this sport. Rest in peace to him and his family. And there you have it. Cedric's Combat Corner number 16. Thank you for taking the time to listen to it. If you have any questions or suggestions, please hit me up on any social media at Cedric Sports, and we'll go from there. Yeah, at Cedric Sports. Thank you again for listening. Shout out to Win City Sports. Yeah.